It doesn't help if I forget that I need to put the microphone on. And then it gets caught in my hair. Oof. I swear there are days I'm thinking I should just cut it all off. All of it. Every last bit of it. Okay. Wait. I'm tangled up. Honestly, it's been a day. So, good evening. I know nobody's out there just yet, but I did remember to make up-to-date announcements and send my mother a message poking her so that she'll remember. And yeah, no, it's Friday. We're supposed to have a good weekend. My son and I have garden plans. It's been kind of nasty weather here. So we had not... Hi, Becky. We haven't done anything with the garden all week because it's been raining. We've had wind advisories. It's just been... And I've been crazy busy because, well... So we've got raised garden beds partly built, and tomorrow we're supposed to go out there and finish putting the beds together and fill them up. I'm going to do a combination of hugelkultur and probably some lasagna gardening along with it, which reminds me that tomorrow I need to run out and get cardboard. I'm going to try and wiggle around here and not have too much reflection going on my glasses. So, yeah, hopefully you can hear me. Because I just realized my little indicator isn't bouncing for the thing. I don't know. It's a mystery to me, one that I do not know the answer to because, well, in theory, that's what it should be. Ah, you can hear me. Good. All right. So lasagna gardening is layering. Okay, good. I have well-aged horse manure compost. It's at least 2 years old. And that was a prime find. I was very excited about that last weekend, and I may go back and get more since the gentleman told me I was welcome to come back anytime for more. What I'll be doing is I will be making layers. So I'll take a layer of cardboard and put down on top of the ground inside the bed, the idea being to keep any really persistent weeds from coming up through. And then I'm going to put down a layer of old wood debris. Not only will I get it out of my yard without me having to worry about building really big bonfire. I don't know why I lost that word, but I did. So I'll do a layer of cardboard and a layer of old wood debris, and then probably just the compost. Now you can do multiple layers, and I have some old rotted straw I may use as one of the layers, but you can kind of visualize it's going to be like building a lasagna in a pan, only I'm doing it in a raised garden bed. That cuts down on the need for mixing and stuff. Putting some of the debris in the bottom of the bed brings it up so I'm not having to put in as much dirt, because most of what I'm going to be planting in these will have fairly shallow root systems. I don't think we have any carrot seeds, and the radishes that we have are the little round red ones. My dear husband would love for me to grow daikon, but that's a whole nother level of bed prep and sandy soil, and it has to be fluffy, and yeah, it's not happening this year. But since Mom is here, I wanted to kind of do an impromptu unboxing video because I came home to Amazon boxes, and I bought some equipment so that I can do nature walks without hand carrying my cell phone, because that gets, shall we say, seasick making. So here's what I've got, and I am literally pulling it out of the box, and it is like a GoPro thing. And it's got more equipment stuff down here. The camera itself is just this little guy up here. Oh, that's good to know about Icon, because here and I was thinking it was like carrots, and you had to give it a fussy prep and a really big memory card for the GoPro. And oh well, this has nothing to do with the GoPro. I bought myself technical writing pencils, so because I've been doing so much graphite sketching. And these are Japanese mechanical pencils, and they have got some heft to them. I'm happy. I was trying to figure out the best kind of mechanical pencils, because I didn't want to invest in rot rings. I know they're the best, but they're a lot. And I'm not a professional. Ooh, I like that. Is an aluminum mechanical pencil. See? And it's weighted so that it balances right where you're writing. I am already happy with this little guy. I got a 0.7 and a 0.5. You can get other sizes, but those are probably the best for me. And then the other box is going to have, and my dear husband partly opened the first one before I stopped him and told him I wanted to do unboxing, and I don't know why I didn't just have him cut both of them. It's not like I don't have my own pocket knife, but yes, they are definitely the kinds that engineers would work with. I did some drafting when I was in high school, and got compliments on it from my teacher at the time. Okay, so that's the rest of it. This is not going to look like anything in the bag, but it's a kit with various harnesses. So the idea being that I can carry it in different ways. It also has a little float that you can attach to it, so if you drop it, it's in a waterproof case. So if you're out canoeing or kayaking and you drop the camera, the float, which doubles as a handle, will keep it above water, which I think is a really good idea, being a klutz. So, and I also bought spare batteries, because you always need spare batteries for a camera. So I have indulged myself. If anyone wants to know what I spent the stimulus check on, it wasn't this entirely. No, mostly what we're spending the stimulus check on is college. Johan is doing really, really well with his first 2 classes. When he gets grades, and they're really good grades, and right now he's got a B and a C average, which is doing pretty good for a 15-year-old in college. And so when he gets a big grade in, I buy him sushi. That's his treat for getting good grades. But then his other big reward was that he wanted to take more classes this summer. And initially we were like, 1 or 2 classes, because we can afford that, and you want to have a job and learn how to drive. So there's a lot going on. But with the stimulus check coming in when it did, we went ahead and we said, all right, you can pick out what you want to take, and we'll talk about it. We'll talk to your advisor. So he is taking 4 classes for summer semester, which sounds like a lot, except for that one of them is a 1-credit intro to college class, and it's on flex pace. So he's basically like, I'm going to have that one done in a week. which he might or might not. I don't know. I do know that he's doing better with English than I was afraid of. He did get a C on an essay that he basically rushed and did in the middle of the night so he could turn it in on time because he hadn't been listening to me to work on it beforehand. But he's taking business math. He's taking intro to operating systems, which he's super confident about because he's comfortable for a bunch of different operating systems. He's run Linux and Windows, and he's worked with Mac and that sort of thing. So we'll see how that goes. And he's taking a management class. So the degree that he's taking is an associate's in computer science with emphasis on networking or networks. And they're throwing some business classes in with that, which I do not think is a bad idea. So he's going to be a busy boy this summer. And I told him if he's going to take a full-time college load, which he is, then he cannot work more than 12 hours a week. So that's the plan, is he's going to go to the McDonald's that's just down the road. I will tell him that, Becky. So his plan is to go to McDonald's where his sisters were working and apply there, because they told him basically once he was 16, come back and see us. We'll talk to you then. And I told him that it's like he's got his classes are 4 days a week, so Monday through Thursday. And that leaves him with Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if he works like 4 hours a day, he'll be fine with those. And I'm with you on the business classes. I absolutely think that even if you never plan on running your own business, having the understanding, I'm curious to see what his business math covers, and if it gets into any kind of statistics. I'm taking a couple of classes right now for a Six Sigma yellow belt certificate, and they are all process management. So risk analysis, fishbone, Pareto, that's all the stuff, but it's a lot of statistics. And I actually really enjoyed statistics when I took the classes that I had to have for my degree. So I'm actually enjoying this as more or less of a refresher. Yeah, that's what I told him, Mom. I don't know if he's going to do that. And he's planning on doing school basically year round, because this is for the classes I'm talking about are for summer semester. He ends, his current classes end in early May, and then I think he has 1 or 2 weeks off. I think it's 2 weeks. He gets 2 weeks off in between, and then summer semester starts. And then I suspect that he will have probably another 2 weeks off before fall semester starts. But he's super excited because if he does full-term classes, and I'm going to have to come up with the money for them, but we'll make it work. If he does full-time classes, he'll actually finish this degree in like a year and a half. So actually before he would be on track to graduate with his high school diploma, which probably means he's getting that early. The way Ohio works, I have to have transcripts and a standardized test done every year to show that he's on grade level. And then when we're ready to be done, I issue a homeschool diploma and submit his transcripts and test stuff for the final time to the local school district. So I will probably, if I think he's ready, and I think he will be, because his plan right now is to spend that last, I forget if it's a semester, I think it's a semester, last semester, before he would be on track to graduate, he wants to do a full-time internship. And I think that that's definitely something that would be good for him. And then after that, he wants to move out and do his own thing. And both Sanford and I are like, yes, but also if you want to be here, then that's good too. Mom, I totally agree on the 7 days a week thing. And I think once he's been doing this schedule for very long, he will also agree with it. We will have to see how it goes. As far as personal finance class goes, all of my kids had either in public school or through homeschool, they've had the Dave Ramsey home study personal finance class. The schools here, that's what they use for personal finance classes in the high schools. And Mom gave me a copy of it. That's what we used for Pippa. And Johan and I have talked about maybe running him back through it, but I think once he's gotten the business math, that'll actually be pretty solid for him. So, well, experience is good, but he's actually been doing, he's got 2 servers that he runs, and it took him a while to get them up and running because I'm like, I have no idea, dude. You have somebody that you can ask for help. The friend that gave him the computer is a friend of mine, whom I should send a message to and tell him thank you again. We've thanked him a few times, but he's doing good. And I'm very proud of him. So, yeah. He's been watching my job hunt with great interest. Today was the first day all week I did not have a schedule to interview. I had an interview anyway because I had applied for a job, and the guy called me, and that one's in an interesting position because it's 4 days, 10-hour shifts, and 3 days off. So it's a fixed extended shift. But the shifts are from 2 p.m. until 12:30 a.m. And this old lady is going to have to adjust. But the other thing about it is that the plant where I would be doing chemistry at is in Texas. So we'll see what happens with this. I have multiple interviews pending for next week. And to be honest, I really would prefer a remote position at this time. Not to mention the fact that if I pull up roots in 3 weeks probably be 4 weeks. But if I just yank up roots and go to Texas and temporarily leave Sanford and Johan here, they're going to have a lot of work to do without me stage managing, and I'm honestly not sure that's a good plan. Sanford and I have gamed it out, and he's willing to take it on, but so it is just slightly north of Dallas, Texas. I have a bunch of friends in the Wichita Falls area, which is why I'm looking at Texas. But there are no jobs for me in Wichita Falls. So, there's jobs there, but nothing that pays comparable to what I'm doing. Becky, this would be a little bit of a pay bump. Not a huge amount, but a little bit more than I'm making now. I've got... Next week I should hear back. There's a customer service position for a startup. Pippa does not have time. Pippa is still struggling with packing up after Julie moved and left her stuck with a bunch of stuff that she has to deal with. So the customer service would be a remote job. I don't know if they can afford me, so I'm waiting to see what their offer comes in at. I also have a chemistry position microbiology position that's looking at me, that's local-ish, that would be an hour commute. And honestly, unless they offer me a really sweet deal, I don't know if it's going to be worth the extra 2 hours a day. Plus, it'll probably be masking, which is a big part of what my issue is right now. And I have another one that I'm waiting to hear back on, where there were 2 different positions they were looking to place me at. So she was fairly sure that one or the other of them was going to want me. That one's also remote. And finally, it's been wicked couple of weeks. I've been busy. There's another position that there are multiple potential positions because it's a very quickly expanding pharmaceutical plant near Lexington, Kentucky, which Mom would like. Lex would not be as difficult for us to relocate in a hurry because I'd still be able to drive home on the weekends and help with packing. And yeah, I don't think it's going to be a pay doubling, unfortunately. And I'm on the fence with the hour commute because I do dictation during commutes, or I do when I have my head straight and I'm ready to actually write something, which the last couple of weeks I've been focused on the job hunt project, so I have not been writing as much. So, yep, Mom would like Lexington. Sanford's mom would like Lexington. Sanford's brother, Ted, actually lives in Lexington. So we have Lexington would not be a bad option at all. But we'll see, because it's going to depend on what comes in, whether I have the guts to say no to the first offers that might or might not be the best one. I don't know. I'm not. I want to get out of where I'm at, but I don't want to jump into a bad situation. So this is going to be rough. Mom, I'm going to assume that anything where I'm in person is going to involve masking. The question might be that it's gonna depend on whether or not there's a way for me to alleviate from the masks. My current position, there's no place. Doug, Wichita Falls, and near that tiny Texas town where a certain cadre of writers dwells, and I wouldn't mind joining the cadre of North Texas Writers and Shooters Club. Yeah, that's kind of my thing right now, Becky, is I don't want to compromise and wind up in a bad situation. I've been doing a lot of soul searching, and part of what got me in the situation I'm in is it was the first offer after I started hunting the last time. And I knew there were red flags almost from the beginning. Of course, there was no way I could have foreseen the pandemic. I mean, there's a lot I can put up with. I can put up with a lot. It's just gotten to the point where it's cumulative to the point where I can't anymore. And I will be honest, I had a moment when I saw the stimulus check come in, because it was bigger than I expected, because they hadn't given us anything for Johan in the past, so this check was like more than I was expecting. But I looked at the amount that dropped into my bank account, and I thought, I could put in my notice and we could live on this for a couple of months, and I would be able to find a job in that time and we'd be good. And then I told myself I can't jump off a cliff, and I need to pay for Johan's college, and I can just keep chugging along like I have been. So that's what I'm doing. The gardening will help, because getting outside, getting my fingers in dirt, that helps. And I'm going to start, now that I've got this little camera, I'll give that some trial runs this weekend while we're doing the garden beds, and kind of show off the shameful state of my gardens, so that I can do, hopefully, I can do the before and after thing by the end of the summer and have it in good shape. Unless I move, in which case, we'll see. But work first, support the family first, all the little side hobby things second, and that's okay. I can live with that. Um, the longer days do help with a lot. I like getting to see the sunrise again on my way to work. I'm good with that. That's actually a nice part of commuting. And I like the fact that I'm coming home and I'm not seeing the sunset on my way home. I had thought I could do this outside on the porch today, but it's in the high 40s and windy, so Sanford pointed out quite rightly that I would freeze and my teeth would be chattering halfway through the live stream. And I got home like just a few minutes before this because on my way home I stopped to get Johan sushi, and the first store I stopped at didn't have it. It's not restaurant sushi. Kroger has, well, some Krogers have in-store sushi bars. And I think when he's done, if he's got really good grades, that I'm going to actually take him out to the local sushi place. But for now, we're doing Kroger sushi. But the first Kroger is this really tiny one with claustrophobic aisles. I don't like going in there because it's small and cramped, and there's like barely room for carts to pass in the aisles. So anyhow, I wound up going to a different Kroger because I'd made a commitment to the boy and I was going to stick to it. So that kept me later than I anticipated coming home. But I got here and I had time to talk to my husband and my son because they always want to talk to me when I first get home from work, which is nice. It really is. I mean, it would be kind of sad if the only thing you had happy to see you come home was the dog. The cat never acknowledges that you have gone or returned. The cat is aloof. And since my son has closed the door to the guest room where I'm doing this, she's not even in here right now. He objects to her being allowed in here because we have houseplants over here. And he's afraid that she'll chew on them. Although I don't think there's anything there that's toxic. Rosemary, succulents. I've got a big orchid in here. Hi, Juniper. Hi, sister. I need to finish doing another coloring book for you. So, and since it's going to be your birthday before my next video, happy birthday, Juniper. You are 41 years old. I cannot believe it. I still think of you as being little curly top running around. But I hope you have a good birthday. I know you're going to have presents. So that's about all I can do. Speaking of which, Mom, next weekend I may come down there. I'm going to make that pending on how I feel and what craziness in life is going on. So, because life is crazy right now. And I've decided I really do need to actually try to see a doctor because I keep getting sick, and some of it's stress, some of it's mental health issues. The mask has been exacerbating that, and in addition to some of the physical stuff. The last couple of doctors that I have seen have heavily implied, if not outright stated, that they think that the physical symptoms are manifestations of head stuff. Cedar was a like towhead blonde at that age, Doug. So yeah, no, I really want to get down there, Mom. And I, yeah, I I've got so much that I'm trying to do, and yeah. Sorry, I just totally lost my train of thought. I've been going nonstop. It's been work. On my lunch breaks, I'm doing interviews. After work, I'm doing interviews. I'm trying to schedule my video interviews for um, after work, and so I can be home and be basically right here where I am talking to you guys when I do them, somewhat professional setting rather than in my car. And so far, I haven't taken any time off work to accommodate interviews. If I do any more serious upper level Zoom interviews with teams, which looks like it's coming next week, then I probably will have to take some time off work. I have a lot of vacation time because I rolled some over from last year. So this is okay. I can do this. I might irritate my boss, but as long as I'm getting all my work done, she really can't say a whole lot. And I am very much getting all my work done. Unfortunately, the nature of this business is that sometimes I am basically sitting and waiting until we get more in to do. And this week has been sitting and waiting. And because of that whole self-analysis stuff that I've been doing, so I've read some really good books recently. I've done at least one of them I've profiled on my blog, and it's called Arsenal of Hope by Jen Satterlee. And it is basically her story of learning to cope with her husband's severe PTSD. And in the process also, she walked through realizing that she had a lot of traumatic stressors from her young adulthood. So it's an excellent book, and it was really good for me. I got it based on the recommendation of a friend. I've also bought her husband's book, which is about his struggles. I haven't read Tom Satterlee's book yet. Because I really needed to take a break for that was heavy. Bye, Becky. Thank you for coming. I've also been reading, and I cannot remember his name, but the book is called The Body Keeps the Score. And it is dealing with trauma and the physical results of trauma as manifested in the body. And that's kind of what got me started thinking that I need to go actually find somebody who understands and sit down and talk with them and start working through dealing with some stuff. One of my really good friends has a theory that you don't start to really heal from trauma until you're in a place where you are safe. And for the last several years, I've been in a place where I was safe, but the children weren't. And so that exacerbated a lot of stuff for me because that was really hard on me. And I was dealing with college and trying to get jobs. Well, the last few years, life has stabilized. And so I've been starting to kind of ooze around the edges. And I thought I was dealing with it pretty well. And triggering this job hunt sparked some things. The stress of the last year, it's been a stacking effect. So now I'm really oozing at the edges. So I'm gonna be writing about it. One of my friends I was talking to yesterday recommended that I start writing about it because that's my preferred method of expression. I do this and I talk about it, but I get to a certain point where I'm like, I'm not comfortable verbalizing it yet. Eventually, I'd like to be able to get to, because my end goal is to take the writing, some of the essays that are already on my blog or I have written, plus I wrote one today, and that'll probably be up on my blog tomorrow. There are illustrations, well, an illustration so far. There will be more. And the essay that I wrote is talking about the crushed paper look of poppy petals and how that develops, and how it relates to sometimes how I feel about myself and the creases that you develop. Anyhow, I've got it handwritten in a notebook. I'll be typing that up. That's tomorrow's essay. I want to spend some more time writing essays like that. They're very difficult for me, so I generally can't do it often, but I do eventually want to be able to write. I want to write a book and use that, and potentially even do some public speaking, because I know there were points that I could have been helped by a voice of reason and rationality. It could have given me some tools to cope, that it's taken me a lot longer to find those tools and start using them. Carrie, I am very lucky right now. I have really good benefits. It's actually one of the criteria for moving to another job is that it must have at least adequate benefits. So I actually have the option of being able to go and get seen and not have to worry about the cost. I have a health savings account, and once we hit our deductible, we're 100% covered, so we'll be good. Which is good because both Sanford and Johan have some medical stuff going on. So yeah, it's not only catharsis for me, Mom. It's because if it was just catharsis for me, I would probably write them and stick them in a drawer, or maybe put them on my blog. But I want to help other people that might be in my situation, or where I was 20 years ago. And that actually has been on my mind for a really long time. Probably since I began. I'm going to say this is going to sound weird, but since I started regaining consciousness about, let's see here. So Johan was born in 2005, and it was probably 2007 or 2008 before I started to really become aware of what and where I was and what was going on. And it was late in 2009 when I finally managed to step away, walk away. And even then, it took me a couple more years to completely disentangle and extricate myself. And at this point, it's been 10 years, and I'm to the point now where I feel like my kids know everything they need to know. That was a part of my not talking about it at first, was because I didn't want to expose them to something they didn't know about, which was naive of me because they knew a whole lot more than I realized. They had to deal with things I didn't realize. at the time, which is probably good because I was having enough trouble coping without understanding completely what was going on. And I've had explicit conversations recently with my daughters where they encouraged me to do this. And my son and I have had really in-depth conversations where he has adamantly told me, and in fact, he volunteered me to appear in front of his English class as and do an interview on being a survivor of domestic violence. And that was something he really wanted. And so, yeah, I'm ready, I think. I'm sure this is going to be landmines, things that I'm not even going to guess are there until I trigger them off. I've learned the hard way that even approaching the topic in a very clinical and detached way can sometimes trigger me. I once was at a panel at LibertyCon of all places, and it was they were talking about PTSD and how the myths surrounding it and how it's often portrayed in media poorly. And I had to leave after just, I don't know, probably the first 10-15 minutes because it set everything off. I couldn't stay there. I was going to start to cry. And I went out in the garden at the con there, and a friend came out and sat and talked to me. We talked for a couple of hours, which was good, and I'm really grateful that he did that. So yeah, it's going to be hard, but I think it's worth doing. And it's something that I can do because I have support. And you're not going to be able to cast shadows, love. There's not enough light. In fact, I'm getting really dark and grainy. Yeah, something planned ahead of time. I think if I can find a therapist I trust, also, good Lord. Yikes. Also warning Sanford if I know I'm going to be probably setting off landmines by writing about survival and stuff.
I didn't do it.
Yeah, he just walked in. He has no idea what I'm talking about. He's got an alarmed look on his face. Landmines, dear. You get to trigger landmines. Explosions. Booms.
I'm the comic relief. I don't do this.
He says he's a comic relief. He also rubs my feet when I'm having trouble sleeping. So. On a somewhat lighter note, turning on the light did really help with the graininess, I think. Yes, Mom, he turned on a light. When I came in here, I had light from the window. I didn't think I was going to need the light. Well, this has been a heavy topic for session for this discussion. I have been contemplating these. If I start doing nature walks, I may do less of the live because I can't do the nature walks live. But the other thing with it too is I feel like maybe I need to, like, not script. Script's probably the wrong word because that implies a whole lot more time and effort. Set some topics up and have discussion points. Mom, let's see, 2 of them are in therapy. The other one probably should be, but we tried it and it didn't work out well. Sanford is very good for me. He gave me a refuge, which I badly needed. I didn't even realize how badly I needed it until after I'd gotten all the way out of New Hampshire. And he is a rock. I mean, I'm not going to say he's perfect. Um, Hi, Catherine. I recognized the last name, Catherine, but not the first one. I'm like, Julius. Um, so, Mom, are you bleeding? Put antibiotics on it, especially if you were anywhere near the ducklings when you cut yourself. For those of you who have never had the pleasure of keeping ducklings, they're filthy. Foul are foul. I always like ducklings. They're cute, they're fluffy, they're fun to cuddle, and they're actually responsive to cuddling, which is more than I could say for most chicks. But they, because of how ducklings eat, they have to have water going through at the same time they eat. They make a mess, and their little poops are liquid, and it's awful. So I'm just like, if we ever get to the point where we can have critters again, I really don't want to keep ducklings. Johann would like to have a couple of chickens. Sanford has been saying no chickens, except that the other day when Johann decided that we were moving to Texas now, by golly, the child gets ideas in his head. He was looking at houses and trying to figure out what we could afford and where, and he found a house that he absolutely fell in love with. And Sanford was saying that we could actually have chickens there, and I'm like, well, that was a change. So we'll see. Depends on where we wind up. Almost certainly not that house because it's in tiny town Texas, and it's only a feasibility if I get a remote job and they have decent internet access in that town. And the house is relatively low priced, which almost certainly means that by the time we got this place sold and we're ready to buy, it's going to be off the market again. But it does give me hope that if they're nice little houses with a decent lot and what got the guys was that there's a big workshop and it had a sink in it. Like, all right then. That's probably going to need to be a criteria for the next house, as a decent sized workshop. A shed for the boys to go play in. Maybe not in Texas in the summer, because unless it also has air conditioning. So I think I remember meeting Catherine, and I know that we've become acquainted with her on social media. So it's a pity Oregon's political climate is inimical. I would not mind moving back to Oregon. In this case, Mom, no, I think it was location. It's in tiny town Texas. There's not a lot of work out that way. I mean, we're talking about further north and west than my friends live, and they're kind of off the beaten path. So that's a big part of it. I mean, when I was opening up the search string and looking for places that had acreage, I was actually looking at places in Oklahoma, which Sanford would no doubt have objections to, because Oklahoma's on his list of, I don't know about that, places. It's flat. It's so flat. I'm not sure I can do that much flat. North Texas is flat enough. We'll see. I mean, right now it's kind of exciting because we get to dream and we get to be like, well, we could do this or that or the other thing. It's like, even if I wind up with a remote job, it's going to require really good internet access, which means I can't move really close to Mom because the internet where Mom is iffy at best. And the same thing actually goes for my mother-in-law, who lives very close to Interstate 75, and the internet where she lives is bad. Yeah, Mom, this was Western Oklahoma. um, so if I go to Kentucky, I'm still kind of limited to, I got to find places in Kentucky that have decent internet. So that's, if I get a remote job, it frees us in a lot of ways, but we'll still have some constraints. Ah, inhale my own saliva there. And I should probably bring this to a close before too much longer. It's been just about an hour. And so, well, that's good, Mom. But unfortunately, if I am handling VPN and Zoom meetings and um, streaming video and whatnot, I'm gonna need a lot of bandwidth. So I may talk to you about that when I'm down there. Uh, the initial reports I was seeing about Starlink were promising. It's a little more expensive than I pay here, but I'm willing to pay a little bit more to give myself a little more room. And if Starlink does everything that promises, it could revolutionize where people live, because I'm sure that there's people like me that would rather not live close into the cities, but still need to be able to support work. I mean, I've figured out that if I didn't need to have benefits, if I was willing to do flex jobs and contract work, there's a lot out there. I could be doing, there's a ton of technical writing. There's content writing that is literally right up my alley, right in my skill sweet spots as far as experience and skill sets. I actually have technical editing and proofreading on my resume because my microbiology professor hired me onto the team to do her textbook when I was in my first med microbiology class. I don't have the nickname the human spell checker for nothing. And my grasp of grammar is probably softer than it should be when I'm writing fiction. Mom can attest to that. But it's something that with a style book, I would be very quickly up to speed, and I know how to structure standard operating procedures, test methods, and that sort of things. And there are people that are hiring for, but that's kind of irrelevant at this point, because I do need to have full-time permanent employment with benefits until the kids are all fully launched and on their own. Sanford has the VA because veteran and disabled veteran. I don't like him to rely on that because they are the worst. I mean, literally, he had a doctor tell him that they would not do surgery that he needed until his toes started to die and fall off. And the civilian doctor that, when we got him on my health insurance, we took him to a civilian doctor, and that one was horrified. And like 2 weeks later, he was in getting the surgery that he needed. So yeah, we won't do the VA except as a last resort, which means that I have to be careful about job hunting and what I get for jobs. And right now, I need to be making at least level with what I'm making now, and that is also a limitation. I had the nicest conversation. It was sort of an interview, except that the lady that was calling me was pretty sure that they were not going to be hiring me, even though they wanted me. Because in her first question was, we're in Texas and you're in Ohio. And I'm like, yes, I'm planning on relocating, but I need to find a job first. She's like, that's very smart. And then she's like, I looked at your resume and you're very impressive. And I need to let you know right up front that we can only pay $15.50 an hour. And we wound up having this really sweet conversation. So the job was actually being a trainer for people that were returning to the workforce from unemployment or coming off of temporary assistance for needy families. Essentially, it was someone that was training people how to look for jobs and how to do different things, write resumes, set up professional emails. I know exactly what the job entailed because I went through it myself right after my divorce, because I had literally nothing. Um, we had enough food in the pantry. We were in no danger of starving, but I didn't have a car. I didn't have a driver's license. I didn't have a job. I hadn't worked outside of the house. I mean, I'd been running a business, but I found out very quickly that that was actually considered a deficit for hiring managers in most cases. So we were on pretty much all the assistance for a little while there. And I worked very hard to get us off. And we were only on it for 4 months. And even that, I had to fight with them to get off of it because I wasn't quite making enough that they thought I could support all of us, 4 kids and myself. And it was tight, but we were. So I went through those programs, and the idea of being able to do that, I was telling Sanford that if we wind up in that area, I'm going to go find out if they'll take volunteers and spend a few hours a week helping, because yeah, that was like hit me in the heart, but I can't afford to work for that little right now. Um, I mean, if Sanford were fully employed, maybe, but that we're pretty sure that's not going to happen again. Um, so yeah, that was kind of one of those moments of my heart. I can't, but it does give me an idea of something to do down the road when I don't have to bring in the same level of income, and I can do something that's more of a feeds my soul as much as the feeds the family. And who knows? I mean, there's a bunch of different things that I'd love to do, and I'm not that old yet. I still have room to learn and grow, and that's the hope. Um, yes. Oh, I'm sure, Mom. Even here, I'm sure there are places where I could volunteer. If we stay here this summer, I will be taking a certified naturalist class, and then I will be volunteering to do education for nature. And the idea of becoming a certified naturalist and then spending, in order to maintain certification, it's 40 hours a year doing volunteering work. And I am so excited about the idea of being able to do that. And I will do that wherever we go. There's no point in doing certified Ohio naturalist if we wind up in Texas, because the ecology's different, very different. John, Sanford has been out of work for a year. He dropped his last job because he had to take family medical leave to take care of his dad, who was in hospice, and the job was being a total pain in the tush. So Sanford quit, which we were able to do because at that point I had the job where I'm at now, and I was making enough to pay all the bills. But neither of us anticipated this happened just before COVID and the lockdown. And neither of us anticipated that he'd be out of work this long. And at this point, he's 63 in 2 weeks, and we are seeing so much age discrimination. And he's gotten really discouraged. So he's probably going to wind up getting a part-time job, but we're kind of holding off on doing too much until we settle out what's happening with me and my job hunt, because that's going to dictate where we're at. And if I wind up having to drop everything and move to be with the job, and he's here taking care of because there's some house repairs that need to be done, nothing big, but he's actually got a friend who's a contractor who came in. He's going to be giving us a bid. And he'll have to manage that. He'll have to manage packing the house and moving. Johan's already started the decluttering process, and I'm like, we don't know if we're moving yet, buddy. But kids. So, Mom, Master Gardener is I don't know about Master Gardener. I'm not sure. Maybe. I'd like to get involved in some kind of a program in doing native gardening. I'm part of a group on Facebook that's for native gardening and pollinators. Doug, that's something I'm trying to talk. Something I'm trying to talk Sanford into is going ahead and starting to pull his Social Security, because we could use that towards paying for Johan's college. Because right now that's tight with just my income. Or I can find a job that's making $5,000 or $10,000 a year more, and that would solve some issues as well. That's part of the job, part of the thing. I mean, I'm in a bad place, but it's not a awful place. It's got toxic moments, but unfortunately the team I work with is really good people, so I can endure until I can't. And unfortunately that's been the issue recently, is I've been going up and down on the mood train faster than the roller coaster at Six Flags. So, but on that note, yeah, Mom, you telling me that, I didn't know about that. That's part of what I've talked to him about, and I think we're probably going to be going through this process soon, so he doesn't wait. And I don't know if he wants to do it. He really wants to go back to work. He's depressed when he's not working, and there's only so much honey-do list I can give him. Yeah, we'll manage. He'll be happy if he's got some projects running here in the house, which he will be. So, yeah, maybe. I mean, it's one of those things that it's not really something that's going on the resume. It's because I want it. And yeah, I'm doing some things this year that are because I want them. I'm getting a certificate in natural history illustration. If you follow my art, my daily art that I post, I've been posting a lot of my homework from that. And I've got one more big piece that I'll be working on this weekend. And I'll be submitting that. I've already got a passing grade, so I know I'm getting the certificate. I'm me. I want to tip-top the class. But yeah, that's another one that I'll probably put it on the resume. But John, yes, that's one of the things we've been talking about. He asked me the other day if I knew where his woodworking tools were. I bought him a really nice antique set of lathe tools. And so he's going to be setting up his lathe. He's got a little lathe. He actually has two, but I didn't realize he still owned one, and I bought him one for Christmas shortly after we got together. So that's been something we've talked about him doing, is doing that. One of my other friends does woodworking and wood turning and such, and I don't know how well he's been doing with it and selling things. I bought a little mushroom from him and had it sent to my grandmother because so when I was small, like 6 or 7, I I actually picked mushrooms commercially with my step-grandfather and my grandmother on the Oregon coast. So chanterelles, lots of chanterelles. I can still recognize a chanterelle at 20 paces. And jack-o'-lanterns, I can tell the difference without even having to look at the gills. I've it emblazoned on my brain. But we also used to pick chicken of the woods and Japanese pine and yeah, so when Wayne was making little wooden mushrooms, I was like, oh, well, that's perfect because I never know what to get for people for gifts. And I always feel self-conscious giving them my own art. I mean, I do sometimes, but it feels pretentious. So sending one of Wayne's mushrooms to Grandma was pretty cool. Oh, I will tell him that, Mom. He may take you up on it. He's got a table saw. We found a table saw on a Facebook Marketplace not long ago, and it's a nice one. I forget what he said he wanted, but we'll see. We had two big pieces of exercise equipment in the garage because of Pippa when we were trying to get her through some physical therapy. And we got rid of one of them, and that has really freed up a lot of space, so he can actually work out there now. Yeah, I need to do more. Grandma has some of my art, but I need to make more time for it, and I've got a children's book that I need to finish doing the illustrations for. My co-author has been remarkably patient and understanding with the fact that I just kind of had a mental spaz of I can't do anything structured right now. And so I need to finish up with that. And I had made myself a couple of commitments. One of them is that I'm going to be putting out the case of the perambulating hat rack by the end of the month. I edited 19 chapters of it this last few weeks, and I'm about halfway through it. So this weekend I'm going to be grinding through editing that, and then Mom, you can expect to see a manuscript. John, that's actually a really good idea. Yeah, I'll have to think on that one, because if the two of us could collaborate, that would be really fun. I have never done wood burning. I don't know about him. He's not artistically inclined in that way. And I'm not sure I could do it. It's a different skill set then. I have this beautiful cypress knee that Julian Thompson gave me, and I was initially thinking I was going to paint on it, and then I was thinking that I might carve something out of it. And I think I need to paint on it because I can paint. Carving, I'm not so sure about. Well, folks, I have kept you much longer than the hour. All right, maybe not much longer, but longer than the hour. And I need to go find something to wet my whistle because I can feel the throat unhappy with this much talking at once. But thank you all for coming. It's really good to be able to kind of bounce some of these things off of y'all. And hey, Ben, sorry I moved it a little earlier than normal. So I actually am not really in a hurry to thing, but I am definitely going to go need to grab a drink and get my throat wet. I am going to, I've got the cool camera, so I am going to, and I'll pull that back out for the latecomers. I literally just got this. I haven't had the chance to open it or anything, but it is a GoPro style camera with waterproof case, and I have harness stuff, and I'm going to do nature walks. Love you, Mom. Thank you, everyone, for coming. Love you too in different ways. Y'all have a great week, and I will see you again next Friday. Maybe outside on the porch. We'll see how